that the man who organized the counterinsurgency in all these Latin American countries is called John Negroponte, and he's now in charge in Iraq. So just look at his history, look at which kind of paramilitary organizations he built in the 80s, and you will understand that the same is happening on the ground in Iraq. So then let's also be a little logical. The resistance has no interest in killing the people that she needs to operate. If you alienate yourself from the civilian population, if you kill the civilian population, you will not have popular support. It's just as basic as this. So it is obvious that it is not the resistance that attacks civilians. Then look at the consequences of the attacks on civilians. Who gains from it? It's the occupation. So then who, what, when, what are their names? I have no clue. And it's impossible to document. Iraq has been sealed from the outside world. Don't believe any journalist is covering Iraq. They are in the green zone, in the hotel, and they cannot circulate, they cannot get out, and they don't even try. So there is no covering about Iraq. Nobody makes the analysis of what's going on inside Iraq. These black ops, the so-called government, has never investigated an attack against the civilians. So we are supposed to think that this is a sovereign government that doesn't care about the fact, that doesn't want to know who is responsible for the killing of its own population, and I should consider that this is a patriotic and government that helps its own people. I think it's very difficult to believe, and actually the Iraqis, they know very well that the day the occupation even announces its retreat, because it has been defeated, they will run away. People think, oh, what will happen? They will run away as they came in. They don't belong there, and they have committed such a crime. They have blood like this in their hand. Now they start to shake, and they cannot even, exactly like Ustad Issam said, they don't even dare sign the law. They know it's high treason. They know they are dead in the minute if they sign the law. These people, they were, like me, outside Iraq in diaspora for the last 30 years. They have no popular support. Nobody knows them. They came in with the Americans. Maybe a part of the Iraqi population at the start might have thought, give them a chance. Yalla, give them 6 months, we will see, let's not, you know. The naive population, the one that might not have been as educated as the very large Iraqi middle class. The Iraqi middle class knew what is the American plan from its living experience under the sanctions. They know very well that the Americans have never thought of the well-being of the Iraqis. Otherwise there wouldn't be sanctions. Sanctions just affected the civilians, it didn't affect anything else. So Iraqis who were educated were not duped a minute in the American proposal. And it's not only about Iraq. American foreign policy in the region is well known. We know which kind of state do they defend and which kind of state do they attack. So that middle class has been the first target of the occupation. Basically, they don't want an Arab that is educated, capable of making decisions, because of course he will nationalize, of course he will use his own resources for his own development, that's his interest. So they don't want Arabs to be able to access to that level of development and of independence. 40% of the middle class has either fled or been killed. There has been a campaign of systematic assassination of Iraqi academics. We are talking different kinds of numbers circulate, but between 2,000, 3,000 Iraqi professors have been murdered one by one. It's not it's militias who have names, addresses, kill them on their way to work. It's not that they were somewhere and there was an explosion and they died. No, it's targeted, the decision not to have any specialist in Iraq so that they will constantly need foreign expertise. So these people had probably a little more financial possibilities and they fled outside. But the people who are inside, in fact there are 6 or 7 million refugees, some Iraqis say 9. I cannot document, the UNHCR says 6, so I can say 6 publicly. More or less 3 million inside and 3 million outside. The only difference, those who had the financial means to go outside fled outside. Those who are staying inside is just because they cannot afford to go further, but they are being attacked where they are, and they are being redisplaced already from where they are. Those who return because they run out of money, not because they think that Iraq is in good health and that they have security in their country, they return because they have nothing more to stay outside. They are being killed on their return. Sometimes I don't know if I should laugh or cry. Really, it's like... so the propaganda that there is security in Iraq is a real scandal, and it's only possible because this world has not cared about Iraq for the last 18 years. Because this world feels that the fact that they demonstrated for 3 weeks is enough, it's not enough. And we are, as humanity, there is a demand upon ourselves, moral demand, that we stop an ongoing genocide. And I'm not saying it's the only genocide, I'm saying there has been too many genocides, and I'm persuaded that we are capable of better. I think humans are great things. So I'm tired of seeing generations after generations say, how did this happen and this will never happen again? It keeps happening. And it's our collective responsibility to understand what is genocide and to stop genocide when it's ongoing. These people, we ask too much of them. They are, in fact, if you are from the left, you make this analysis that we are against this kind of globalization. The invasion of Iraq is only globalization by military means.